Hello, the topic of this video is questions in Mandarin. First, let's situate the topic in the larger context of sentence types. There are three types of sentences in Mandarin grammar: declaratives, questions or interrogatives, and imperatives. Please note that questions and interrogatives are somewhat interchangeable in Chinese grammar, and to adopt the more commonly used word, we'll use questions here. But if you see interrogatives in other literature, please note that they refer to the same meaning. There are several learning outcomes for the unit. By the end of the unit, you'll be able to list the 5 types of questions in Mandarin, describe the forms and functions of the 5 types of questions with examples, clarify the difference between A-not-A question and particle question, and to identify the question type when given a question. There are 5 types of questions in Mandarin: question word question, disjunctive question, particle question, A-not-A question, and tag question. Let's look at them one by one. Question word question means using a question word to mark an utterance as a question. To form a question word question in Chinese, a speaker only needs to replace the constituent that is in question with a question word. I'll use this example to explain this point. 我的好朋友会开车. This is a declarative sentence. In order to ask about the person who can drive the car, we'll use the question word here, 谁. 谁 is a question word. And the constituent that is in question is 我的好朋友, this noun phrase functioning as the subject of the sentence. So this is what we call constituent. Using a question word, in this sentence 谁 who, to replace the constituent that is in question forms a question word question. 谁会开车? This is a typical question word question, with the question word being 谁 who. There are several common question words in Mandarin. For example, what 什么, who 谁, how 怎么怎么样, how as in how much, how many, how big, how long, etc. 多多少, 多大多长, or 几. Why 为什么干嘛. Which one, 哪个哪些. Where 哪儿哪里. Please note that there is no special question word meaning when. The usual expression for when is what time, 什么时候, or 几点钟. Let's look at some examples for question word question in Mandarin. 这个教室有多大? 多大多 how, 多大 how big. How big is this classroom? So 多 or 多大 is a question word. 你一会儿怎么回家? How do you go home later? 怎么 how, that's a question word. This is also a typical question word question. 你一会儿怎么回家? However, there is an exception here. The occurrence of question words does not always mark questions. They may function as an indefinitive pronouns, denoting such notions as whoever, whatever, wherever, anything, anyone in a declarative sentence. For example, 谁喝醉了就要请大家吃饭. Whoever gets drunk will buy everyone a meal. Here, 谁 is not a question word. It is an indefinite pronoun referring to whoever. This is a declarative sentence. This is not a question. Second sentence, 他谁都不认识. He doesn't know anyone. Same word 谁 is not a question word in this sentence. That's not a question. It is an indefinite pronoun referring to anyone. 我什么都不想吃。什么 here in the same manner is not a question word. It is an indefinite pronoun referring to anything. These three sentences, although they contain 谁,谁,什么, but they are not questions, and these words are not question words. So please pay a special attention to this exception. The second type of sentence is called disjunctive question, 选择问. It is marked by the conjunction 还是 or. It presents the listener with two or more options to choose from when answering them. The two or more options within a disjunctive question are of the same type of grammatical units. Could be both are noun phrases, both are verb phrases, both are adjective phrases, etc. Let's look at some examples. 你打车还是坐地铁? This is verb phrases. So 打车 is a verb phrase, 坐地铁 is also a verb phrase. So 打车 and 坐地铁 are the two options in this disjunctive question. And these two options are of the same grammatical type. Both are verb phrases. 打车 verb phrase, 坐地铁 verb phrase. Do you take a taxi or take a subway? So that's what it meant by this statement. The two options connected by the conjunction 还是 are of the same grammatical type. Let's look at the second type, noun phrases. 你吃苹果还是香蕉? 苹果 and 香蕉 are noun phrases, specifically nouns, but generally they are called noun phrases. So 还是 connects two options, 苹果 and 香蕉, and these two options are of the same grammatical type, which is noun phrase. Another example, 你在家还是在学校? In this instance, 在家 and 在学校 are also of the same grammatical type, which is prepositional phrase, abbreviated as PP, a prepositional phrase. And sometimes 还是 connects to adjectives or adjective phrases, as in this example. 你的手机是黑色还是白色? 黑色 and 白色 are adjective phrases. So these are some instances of the grammatical units that are connected by 还是. There's another type, which is clause. 是你来还是我去? 你来 is a clause with a subject and predicate. 我去 is also a clause with a subject 我 and predicate 去. So in addition to the previous grammatical units, such as noun phrases, verb phrases, prepositional phrases, and adjective phrases, 还是 can even connect to clauses, as long as they are of the same grammatical type. They can be in the disjunctive question connected by 还是. 是你来还是我去 is also a disjunctive question. The third type of question is particle question. A particle question is formed by adding a sentence final particle, usually ma, to a declarative sentence. So the format of a particle question is declarative sentence followed by a question particle ma, and that is a particle question. Particle question, the function of a particle question is somewhat equivalent to English yes-no questions. For example, 你饿吗? 你饿 is a declarative question. Adding ma, the question particle, it turns this declarative sentence 你饿 into a particle question, similar to English yes-no question. Are you hungry? 你饿吗? Are you hungry? Adding ma. Ma is a question particle, turns that into a question. Another example, 你能看清楚吗? 你能看清楚 that is a statement or a declarative sentence here. And adding the question particle 吗, it becomes a particle question. 你能看清楚吗? Can you see clearly? This can be answered with either a yes or no in English, or 能 or 不能, or 能看清楚 or 看不清楚 in Chinese. There's a special note here. You may wonder whether 呢 can be considered as a question particle here. 呢 may be used to form particle questions, but there are restrictions in how 呢 can form a particle question. Specifically, 呢 cannot by itself turn a declarative sentence into a question. For example, 奶茶好喝. This is a declarative question. Adding 吗 makes that a question, turns that into a particle question as we discussed earlier. 奶茶好喝吗? Is the milk tea good? Does the milk tea taste good? So 奶茶好喝吗? That's a particle question because 吗 turns the previous, originally a declarative sentence 奶茶好喝 into a question asking about whether the milk tea tastes good or not. So 吗, as we said earlier, is a question particle and forming the particle question. And what about 呢? Does 呢 have the same function as 吗? Can they be considered as the same? The answer is no. We can see here, 奶茶好喝呢 is unacceptable. This is not a question. So then when can we use 呢 to form a particle question? It's quite specific. 呢 can form a particle question only when it occurs after a noun phrase, especially after a previous context. For example, 他明天去学校. 你呢? What about you? In this case, we can add 呢 after the noun phrase, and particularly a pronoun here, realizing this noun phrase. 你, we can consider that as a noun phrase. So after the noun phrase adding 呢, how about you? Then we can consider that as a particle question, 你呢? However, in other circumstances, like in this previous example, 呢 cannot be used to turn a declarative into a question. It is not a full-fledged question particle. Only 吗 in Mandarin, only 吗 can be called the default full-fledged question particle or question particle. That's only a question particle is 吗 in Mandarin. So we would call questions that are formed by adding 吗 at the end a particle question. 呢 may form a particle question in some very restricted circumstance. The next type of question is called a not a question. The a not a question is formed by adding a negator or negative word 否定词不 or 没 between two identical components. For example, 你喝不喝咖啡? So 不 is between the two components forming the a not a question. So a represents 喝, not is 不, and the second 喝 is also a. So 喝不喝, a not a question. We can also use 没 to represent the not. 你听没听我说? 听 is a, this 没 is not, and another 听 is also a. So a not a, 听没听. So not can either be realized as 不 or 没. A not a question is functionally similar to the particle question, which again is comparable to English yes-no question. The a not a question has an elaborate system in its formation or the forms. The formal patterns of a not a question are these three types, and let's look at them one by one. The first one is VP, not VP, or VP 不 VP. 你吃饭不吃饭? So 吃饭 So 吃 is the main verb and 饭 is object of the verb. So together 吃饭 forms a verb phrase. And the A not A question can be formed. The first formal pattern of A not A question is full verb phrase form, 不 followed by another full verb phrase form. So 吃饭不吃饭，你吃饭不吃饭。去学校 is also a verb phrase. Forming an A not A question, a speaker can also simply repeat this whole verb phrase before and after may, this not. 你去学校没去学校？ Did you go to school? And are you having dinner? So we can see it's also can be answered by yes or no, affirmative or negative response. So this is the first subtype of the formal pattern, VP, 不 VP, and repeating the whole entire verb phrase. The second type is V 不 VP, V not VP. Let's look at a similar pair of examples. 你吃不吃饭? So here we can see 吃 is only a verb, and 吃饭 is a verb phrase. So 饭 is the object, as we said, of the verb. In the previous case, 你吃饭不吃饭? 吃饭, the entire verb phrase is repeated. However, in this case, only in the first component is only the verb itself. 你吃不吃饭? So this is the format V 不 VP. So V is the first component, and VP, the entire verb phrase, comes after 不. So 你吃不吃饭? In the second instance, 你去没去学校? So 去 is the verb. 去学校 is the verb phrase, the verb followed by the direction or goal, where. So this is the whole verb phrase. In the previous case, 你去学校没去学校? Verb phrase, the entire verb phrase can be repeated before and after may. And in the second pattern, only the verb appears before may and the entire verb phrase appears after may. 你去没去学校? So that's acceptable as well. The third formal pattern is VP 不 or VP 没. 你吃饭不? So following the similar examples before, in this case, VP 吃饭, that's a verb phrase as we discussed earlier. And the sentence ends with 不. 你吃饭不? Instead of repeating the verb phrase 你吃饭不吃饭, the sentence can end with a 不. Even if there's no other second verb phrase, unlike in the first case, 你吃饭不吃饭, the sentence ends with 不. 你吃饭不? It is still considered a not a question. This is particularly important to register because some of the students may be confused about the formal feature of this one. Even if there is no second component of verb or verb phrase, it is still a not a question. 你吃饭不? is still a not a question. 你去学校没? or 你去学校没有? Both are acceptable. It is also the third form, the formal pattern of a not a question, with only the verb phrase, and there is no second verb phrase appearing after may, but still a not a question. 你去学校没? 你去学校没有? So that's the verb phrase plus 不 or may pattern. After discussing the three formal patterns of a not a question, let's talk about the difference between a not a question and particle question. A not a question and particle question have similar functions as we discussed earlier. Both are comparable to yes-no question in English. For example, 你去吗? This is a particle question formed by the question particle 吗 adding to a declarative sentence 你去, adding 吗, 你去吗? Are you going? The second one, 你去不去? This is an a not a question as we just discussed. 你去不去? Are you going? So 去不去, that's the a not a part. And both types of questions, particle question and a not a question, have similar functions which are comparable to the yes-no question in English. Both can be answered by affirmative or negative answers. However, there is a difference between the two types of questions. Please refer to the reading section 18.6 for the details. I'd like to just use one example from the reading to reveal their difference. Let's look at the first pair of sentences. A says, 你好像瘦了. You look thinner. B responds, 你看我瘦了吗？我自己倒不觉得. So, 你看我瘦了吗 is a particle question, as we discussed, because this is a declarative sentence followed by a question particle, 吗. So, 吗 is, when you see 吗, you can react to the fact that this is a particle question. So, 你看我瘦了吗? This is a particle question. 我自己倒不觉得. As a response, B uses this particle question is completely acceptable. Let's look at the same context, same comment from A. 你好像瘦了. You look thinner. And let's look at B's response in this example. 你看我瘦了没有？我自己倒不觉得. This is an A not A question. Remember, we just discussed this is a third formal pattern of A not A question, ending with 没 or 没有. 你看我瘦了没 or 你看我瘦了没有? So that's also A not A question, the third subtype. So 你看我瘦了没有？我自己倒不觉得. Here, this A not A question is awkward. Why is that? Please refer to the reading section 18.6 for the answer. After you review that section and find out the answer to the difference of these pairs of conversational exchanges, particularly why the second instance using A not A question is awkward. Why is it awkward? Then please respond to the worksheet question. The last type of question is tag question. A sentence can become a question by adding a short tag to that statement. The most common forms of tags forming tag questions are A not A at the end, 对不对？好不好？行不行？是不是？ Also, we can see 对吗？好吗？可以吗？行吗？是吗？ ending as 吗 after a statement as functioning as these short tags. The third type of short tags are 对吧？好吧？可以吧？行吧？是吧？ ending with 吧。Please note that these three types of general types of short tags all come after a statement. For example, for this A not A tag, 西茂10点关门，对不对? So, 对不对 comes after this statement. This is what we call a tag, this is a tag question. This is different from the A not A question as we discussed earlier. And the second type of tag, 对吧？好吗？可以吗？我们明天交作业，是吗？我们明天交作业 is a statement. And 是吗? This is a tag. Comes after the statement, forming a tag question. The last one, 你开车来接我，是吧? This 是吧 comes after the statement, 你开车来接我, this is a statement. And the short tag, 是吧 comes after the statement, forming a tag question. Tag questions serve to seek confirmation of the statement that occurs before the tag. This is the function of the tag question, seeking confirmation. For example, 你昨天没来, this is a statement. 对不对? By using tag, changing this to a tag question, 你昨天没来，对不对? The speaker or the questioner is seeking confirmation of the statement before 对不对? That means the speaker is seeking confirmation of the statement 你昨天没来. By using 对不对, the speaker seeks confirmation from the listener. The second example, 我晚点回家行吗? 我晚点回家 is the statement. By using 行吗, changing this into a tag question, the questioner seeks confirmation from the recipient about the statement to confirm whether this statement is okay. 我晚点回家 to confirm that, okay? To confirm 我晚点回家，你晚点回家可以。It is okay that you come home a bit late today. So it is to seek confirmation from the recipient. The third example, 他没告诉你那件事儿，是吧？他没告诉你那件事儿 is a statement. By adding 是吧 this tag, changing this into a tag question, the questioner is seeking confirmation about this statement. 他没告诉你那件事儿。So the questioner is seeking from the recipient a confirmation about 他没告诉你那件事儿 right? To confirm or disconfirm that. Tag questions are functionally different from other types of questions in that they serve to seek confirmation, as we discussed earlier, of the statement that occurs before the tag. Let's have a brief review of the previous 4 types of questions and their functions. Question word question is to seek specific information targeted by the question word. 你喝什么? What? That's a specific piece of information that the questioner is seeking by using question word question. Particle question seeks information. However, this information is either affirmative or negative, 肯定 or 否定。你喝咖啡吗? So either affirmative or negative. 我喝咖啡 or 我不喝咖啡。So that is also a piece of information, although either affirmative or negative. Similar to particle question, a not a question also seeks information in affirmative or negative response. 你喝不喝咖啡? 我喝咖啡 affirmative or 我不喝咖啡 negative. That was also the reason why we said particle questions and a not a questions are similar functionally, which both can be comparable to yes-no question in English, because they both seek affirmative or negative response. In a sense, they seek information. Disjunctive question seeks information about a choice between 2 or more options. 你喝咖啡还是喝茶? The question also seeks information, but it's not about affirmative or negative. It's about a choice between these 2 options, 喝咖啡 or 喝茶. So that's disjunctive question, seeks also specific information between, however, this time between 2 or more options. The last type, tag question, is different from all the previous 4 types. It does not seek information, it seeks confirmation of the statement before the tag. 你喝咖啡 This is a statement. By using the tag 对不对, it seeks confirmation of that statement. Let's have a review of the 5 types of questions. Question word question, disjunctive question, particle question, a not a question, and tag question.